best piece of advice I'll give this entire stream. If you're wanting to sell printers or print service, don't go to a 3D printing event.
The larger shows attend. The smaller shows exhibit. We're blacklisted from the largest marketing company in this industry. Bamboo hates us. Index on an SV08 is going to be, that will be the 2026 printer of the year. I almost guarantee it. See, the fun part is that we upload the raw recording of this. We don't upload what we stream to YouTube. So I just restarted the recording for the third time. So welcome everybody to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 249, where this is try number 3, where my internet still sucks, and you can get 10% off of the Packet Lost shirt on shop.3dmusketeers.com by using the coupon code FUISP10, because Spectrum sucks. We're going to be talking once again, for the third time, about trade shows, because they're expensive, they're time consuming, and quite frankly, I think a lot of small businesses do them wrong.
Like, a lot of the time, people go to these shows to try and make money. And everywhere that I've been has told me you will not earn money at a trade show. And every experience I've had up until Formnext has been you will not earn money at a trade show. And it's a hard pill to swallow, because old industry loves their shows. They love the in-person, right. They love seeing it, they love touching, but it doesn't earn money. I've never earned a penny that has been like profit from a trade show. We've only ever lost money. And it's because you need to stop looking at trade shows as money generators, like certain industries does it work for, but not us. You need to look at it as either validation or like networking. Like, yes, talking to people in person. That's what it's for.
Yeah, the big thing with trade shows is booths for small businesses are a waste of money unless you have a lot of people going. So Formnext was the perfect example of this. We went to the big booths, right? We were at Farsoon's booth. Farsoon had over $1 million of equipment at that booth.
Oh, easy.
Over $1 million.
Easy.
Well, they had a functioning metal printer at their booth. So it was $1 million, right? It was $1 million. Also, hi fans at Farsoon. We had no idea that Farsoon watches the podcast, but hi guys. I had a fun meeting with the marketing director person, and we might be seeing you soon. Yeah, like when you're a big company that can afford big trade shows, do them. But when you're a small company, you can't always afford those big trade shows, because what, a booth is going to cost you 10, 15, 20,000, right? They're
what, a small show or a Formnext?
A Formnext, right?
No, more. 15,000 is nowhere even close.
Really?
15,000 is a small show in the UK. Huh. Formnext, we're looking at 50 to 80,000.
See, this will be a question that I have to ask Luke from Luke's Lab, because he split a booth, and I'd be very curious to.
And it was a very small booth. It wasn't even a hard shell booth.
The big thing with small business, and even if you're at a big business and you're debating, do I want to go? Do I want to go? Do I want to go? Yes, you want to go. No, you don't want a booth. You just want to go. You want to go. You want to walk the floor. Okay. The big thing.
I think that also answers Rara's question in the chat of, as a small business owner, is being an attendee worthwhile?
100%. So here's the problem with having a booth. If you are a small business and want to have a booth, you are missing the opportunities to go out and talk to everybody else. You are reliant on the fact that exhibitors and attendees are going to find your booth, get you at the right time, and then talk to you. You are reliant on all of that. And, well, if you're a small company, you're not going to have luck. And you might, okay, to be clear, that's much more of a, only Sith steal and absolutes kind of thing. But I think you will have significantly less luck than if you just walked around and went to the exhibitors that you wanted to see. Now, here's the fun problem, right? That can't always work. It can't always work because at some point, the big companies have booths and they've made a financial decision that these booths are worthwhile for them. If you are going to launch a new product, a booth might be worth it, but dedicate at least 1 or 2 people to run that booth while you are going out and talking to other people. And you might say, but Grant, that's expensive. Yes. Yes, it is. It is very expensive, but that's okay. There's this fun problem with small business, which is you need marketing, but you don't have the money for it. You need time to do the marketing, which you don't have either.
But you don't have time for it.
So how do you effectively solve this problem?
Hard to say. I can't say that I've done it correctly, because I haven't.
I haven't.
What I can say is what trade shows have done great for us is brand recognition and basically litmus testing. Like when we take a show, we can test our sales pitch directly to people. We can show off the machine and we can see those initial reactions that normally you never get to see because they're behind a web screen or behind a YouTube video. They're not in-person reactions. So having an in-person reaction is very valuable for trying to determine what price point do you go at, what marketing spiel do you do, how do you do the spiel, like what is the sellability of the machine once you are trying to sell it. And that is almost as valuable as everything else.
Yeah.
Because you can't pay for that. You can't pay to bring people in and be like, oh, this is what I think about the machine. Oh, I'm going to try this sales pitch on you. Like, you can only do it. So seeing trade shows more as like a marketing training tool, I'd agree with that. Marketing as training.
Yes.
That's a good investment.
Yes. No, absolutely. That is a worthwhile long-term investment. But when do you start?
I don't think it's worth it.
Right? When do you start?
I'd say you start when you have a solidified brand. Once you have a brand you want to start building recognition for, that's when trade shows are good because you can do it in person, do everything like that. Obviously, YouTube helps as well, and all social media presence helps. But really having a presence in the field allows people to know you exist. It will not make sales. These type of things don't make sales. What they do is you start getting brand recognition. You can check like, what do people think of it? It's basically social engineering. And all of that social engineering when it comes to a trade show is stuff that normally you either have to intuit or guess. And trade shows allow you to get validation.
I want to back up a bit because at a small business, yes, it does, but there's more to it than just the validation side of it. So a couple of things, right? There's 3 different ways that we can go down this path. And I think it's valuable that we go down all 3 of them. We've got the user, just the average person that wants to go and see cool stuff. You've got the small business owner, right? That has a product or a service and wants to go to a trade show. And then the third one, which is the content creator, right? Because there are a lot of people that want to become content creators that might, whether they're writers, video, whatever, they want to create content in some meaningful way. In all instances, I believe the shows are valuable. And in all instances, the way to do it is the exact same way, in my opinion. For your first time, it is not to get a booth. It is to just go and to exhibit. Or, sorry, to attend. So...
And that is what I did with Formnext.
Well, because technically you were working with 3D Musketeers. But yes.
Well, no, either way, like my goal of other than 3D Musketeers is selfish. And that was, I want to see Formnext before I pull the plug and not pull the plug. But what's the same way? It's the opposite of cancelling something when you want to do it.
Like pull the trigger?
Pull the trigger, that's it.
Yeah.
When I pull the trigger on doing a form next, I want to see what it's like. Because a lot of the shows in the UK, we've been to them once, and there's a reason it's staying at once. We're never going to them again. Form next, I was afraid, might be one of them, where it's very expensive, there's a safety and logistics concern, and you go there, and then it won't be worth it. And that is a lot of stuff that you can't justify. I think Luke's stand was in the wrong area. I strongly think that. Like, I think Form Next is worth it. But I think if Luke wasn't in 11-0 or 11-1 and it was in 12 anything, it would have been worth it.
So,
and that is the thing that I was looking for, was how big is it? What is the footfall? Is it the right catchment area? Because there are catchment areas at that show. Like, different floors had different catchments. We know, for example, we never really left 12-1. 12-1 was the fun zone. That's where Luke probably wants to be.
He likely didn't know. This is the problem with getting booths at... So Form Next is the unique one. I guess Rapid is similar, but Form Next is the unique one compared to the other ones that we have been to, which is, it's massive, right? We've been to other trade shows, but they haven't been 4 floors at 500,000 square feet each. Right? For reference, I just Googled it and the AI overview, so grain of salt that obviously, $10,000 to $20,000 for a standard booth. Based on the 2024-2025 pricing. A corner stand with the 2 sides open is about 339 euros per square meter. And the island stand, which is like in the middle where all 4 sides are open, is about 389 per square meter.
That's actually not too bad.
No,
I thought it'd be a lot worse.
Trade shows will have varying, expense rates, right? The defense-oriented ones and the government-oriented ones tend to cost more because they can. Where these ones that are more like industry-focused tend to cost less because they want more people. But I would say that, so like Luke had it right, where he was able to leave his booth for a bit and walk around. For us as content creators, getting through to the right people in the companies is very, very difficult. Very difficult. But when you go to shows, the right people are there. And you don't have any of these in-between people that you have to work through. So like, great example. I've been trying to work with Artec, right? We really want to work with Artec 3D. It took me 6 months to get through to the right people. It took 5 minutes at Form Next because the right person was there. And so like, that's part of the thing that I think really exists with these shows. Is if you are trying to make the connections, if you are selling a printer, if you are selling a service, if you are trying to build connections, having a booth doesn't work. If you're trying to just show off, a booth works great.
I mean, the proof is Farsoon. It was, you were able to get that meeting with Farsoon because you saw them and you got the contact right there. If you were trying to do that manually, it would have taken you months.
So little Nepo Muck in there said, when you want to meet cool people, just stand next to 3D Musketeers and have gummy bears. It's true. So I have a sweet tooth. I have a well-documented sweet tooth. And I really like German Haribo. It is awesome. And Nepo happens to live near the factory. And what did she do, Jacob?
She gave me 6 kilos.
Well, she brought 6 kilos of candy to give away.
Nobody would take it, so she just gave it to me. And I loved it. Literally, I'm sharing it out. I'm giving it to people, being like, oh, look at this. And they're so good.
Well, and it's quality candy because it's made with good ingredients. And I still like those ropes, the and I don't know what they're called, but the sour ropes that or belts, the sour belts that Haribo makes that are veggie. And yes, bribery, of course, is always a proper system. John S. asked if they're Sour Gates belts. I think they're GT 6.5. Don't know what that means, but I'm going with it.
So their generation 6.5 belts is what you've just said.
GT2, isn't that the pitch?
No, it's not. It's the generation of the belt. It's GT2 2mm pitch.
Wait, really?
Yeah, we've literally just got in a load of GT3 belts, which are third generation.
Wait a minute.
2mm belts.
No. You need to hold the F on right now.
Yeah.
You're telling me that everybody wanting GT 1.5 on their machines they don't even understand?
Yes. 100% they don't.
God.
That's why I love it when people are like, I want GT 1.5. It's like, that's not it.
It's not.
That's not it.
Is that even a thing? Is GT 1.5 even a thing?
No, it's not. It's a 1.5mm pitch. But it's not a Gates timing belt generation 3 or a generation 2. That's what GT means. It's
Shane says, so for smaller manufacturers, what's better? One large show like Formnext, or do you go to, say, 3 to 5 smaller shows for companies trying to get a foothold in the market? Which is the better investment? So that's a great question, and I think that
I have answers for that one.
The answer is it depends. The answer is it always depends. And the reason that it depends is who are the shows bringing in? What are the people? No. I disagree.
Wrong.
If you're going to the
size of the company massively affects it, because don't do a massive trade show if you only have one product, because the cost will be the same if you have one product or a dozen products that you can fit within the same space. When you're starting out, the smaller shows you can generally get so much more cheaper, even free. Because a lot of these shows, last minute, will have people drop out where they just can't make the logistics. You can go in and be like, hey, I can fill your empty slot. Just let us pay for the electricity and you're in. We've done that a load of times.
But that would exist.
And that allows you to be at a show.
That would exist regardless. So, like,
if you get bigger, they wisen up on it because it looks more like they're helping upstarts and they're more willing to do it. A show like Formnext, however, if I was only selling Construct 1, not even the XL, but Construct 1, it wouldn't be worth it. Because the bigger catchment area, the higher upfront cost, it's not going to build brand recognition because that's a trickle thing. And it's not going to be able to sell the product very well. But if, say, I sold Construct 1, a maintenance package, a printing service, all of these things without needing another machine, then it starts to become worth it. Because now you're hitting different market segments at one show.
Okay. I can understand that. And that's fair. But I think the target audience for the show is way more important than the show itself. So we have Soft Week here in Tampa, Special Operations Forces, SOF. So Soft Week, the thing with Soft Week is that if you are not trying to sell to the military, you shouldn't be there. And I don't necessarily care if it was free. Or if it's, I mean, that's a bigger show, but work with me here. You need to look at the people that will be there, right? A Formnext, if you're a service bureau, if you're a 3D Musketeers, exhibiting at Formnext is dumb. There's no reason for you to be exhibiting at Formnext. None. You should be going to the Rep Rap festivals. You should be going to the smaller shows. So a big show like
Actually, no, I wouldn't even say that. 3D Musketeers would do better, in my eyes, than doing a trade show because you're very bespoke and very unique with how you do stuff.
Sure.
A Rep Rap festival, the catchment area are makers. And makers are going to do it anyway. They don't need you very much. For 3D Musketeers, I would say LinkedIn adverts.
Oh God, that's so much. I don't know anything about the ad side of things, and I don't want to.
Oh, it's actually not too bad. It's about 10 cents per click. You can get a little bit
But
cheaper.
again, you
You
have
can
to
run it for
know
like
your target.
£5,000.
You got to know
Yeah,
your
you do have to know your
target. You
target.
have to do it right, or you're literally you're pissing money into the wind and hoping
Yep.
that it comes back on to you. And like that is not the type of business that I want to run. And that's why you don't see that we run a lot. My ads are the YouTube channel. That's the ads that we do. Our ads are our YouTube channel. That's it. We don't do paid advertising any other way unless it's like, hey, we're going to work with another YouTube channel or something like that. The paid advertising that we do is surrounding the content that we do. But it's because our business is a little bit more unique than most. LinkedIn, there is a lot of value on LinkedIn. And Tuan Tran Pham, he's the CEO of FiberSeek for the Americas, but prior, he's been in all these different industries. He is the perfect example of that. If you do it right, LinkedIn can work. The thing that we run into, in my opinion, is more of understanding directly who your target audience is. And for service bureaus, you might be well refined in who you serve, what you serve, how you serve, but you're likely not going to turn away a big job if it comes from outside of your regular, your regular audience, as it was. Rara is asking if we advertise our scanning and printing services outside of the YouTube channel. No. This might come as a surprise to a lot of you. I am terrible with marketing and advertising. It's why we are 5 years deep in this YouTube channel and only at 55,000 subscribers. If we were better, we wouldn't have this problem.
But there is a really good point. I'm going to butcher this name. Altugo Barassi? I'm sorry, your name is long and I'm dyslexic.
Altugo Barassi. Basri.
Altugo Barassi.
Basri.
Yeah. It also depends on your customer profile. If customers are individuals, then yes, smaller shows might be better. But if you're selling to other companies, then Formnext is wholly better. That hits it on the head. And something that I completely forgot. Formnext is international. People come from around the world to go to Formnext. Smaller shows get smaller catchment areas because they tend to be local. So 3D Musketeers will do a lot better at a local show, no matter the size, because it's local, over going to Formnext. Because Grant doesn't want to get somebody from France. He doesn't need that. He needs somebody in the Florida, Tampa area and around in America. So going to local shows around him make a lot more sense for his business model. When you're an international selling company like Concept 3D, you want to go as far and wide as you can because it adds more people to your catchment area. For them, it's just a click on a website. A website is available around the world. You want to go to shows that are world capable, not necessarily so I live in Lincoln, UK. I wouldn't want to go to a show in Lincoln, UK, because the only people I'm going to get are people in Lincoln, UK. And there's not many additive people that want that. The UK isn't a big country. You want to go bigger than that. So you want to go to bigger shows.
This is Altug from Evenco, from Formnext. They did they were the ones right by a generative machine that had the Kuka arm on the tracks. Yeah, that's them.
Hello.
And see, if you want to network, this is where you go. You go to Formnext. You get to meet people like Altug from Evenco. Oh, their machine was so cool. Yeah, so yes, Formnext, if you have the opportunity, even if you're like, I don't have the entire trip paid for, I'm not 100% certain how we're going to pay for the trip, go. If it is not going to financially ruin you to go to one of these shows, go to the show.
Yep.
Attend it. Even if you don't do anything huge, go there, talk with people, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
hell, like you've
literally,
got first hand.
this
There
is
we go,
what
there we go,
Evenco
there's
was
the picture.
doing. They were printing with a gosh darn Kuka arm with a pellet extruder. You have no idea the amount of greasing that can be done at places like this, right? Even the smaller shows, you have opportunities to talk with people, start to build relationships, and continue them further through these bigger shows.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, you've experienced this firsthand now with bringing me out with you. My job was only to be a sad puppy following you around, waiting to film something with you. And how many times in the first and second day were we going from booth to booth and suddenly I just disappeared? Because somebody grabbed me to be like, we need to talk business.
It happened more than I wanted because we were supposed to be working, but I understand. And I was trying my best to like, okay, he also has his own company. I need to let him run it. But then it's like, well, no, I'm paying for him to be here. He's working for me, damn it. He needs to be working for me.
It was so awkward because I'm literally there to people being like, I need to be with Grant. And they're like, yeah, but we're going to talk about this anyway. I'm like, and then I look over at Grant and Grant is like yatting away at people, just being like, yap, 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 yap about something really cool. I'm like, maybe I can do this conversation.
I got like 5 minutes until he's going to realize I'm God.
Yeah. And the amount of times that happened, like literally I'd be walking down one of the corridors and somebody would just wave at me. I'm like, I don't know who this is. And then they introduce themselves like, this is a big, important conversation. I'm not even like in a recognizable state. I'm wearing a 3D Musketeer shirt. I don't have Construct 3D all plastered around me.
That guy Opossum is asking, so are there that many events and shows in the US? If so, where can someone find these events? This is your other problem. The events, generally speaking, are terrible at marketing themselves if they don't have a massive marketing budget. So, like, you've got 3D Printtopia, Rocky Mountain Rep Fest, Midwest Rep Fest. You've got Rapid TCT. You've got... Those are just, like, 3D printing ones. What else do you have in the States? You have the maker fairs.
So, actually, here's a piece of advice. Straight up, the best piece of advice I'll give this entire stream. If you're wanting to sell printers or print service, don't go to a 3D printing event. Do not do it. Straight up. Every sale we've made for a trade show was never at a 3D printing event. We went to Advanced Engineering. We've gone to Autosport International. That was one of the best. Autosport International in the UK. Obviously, change whatever the name is to your local version of it. But it was a car event where there's people with money, people who want technology, and they have the means and the drive to try and make something cool. They just don't know they need a 3D printer. We had the best moment at Autosport International where within 20 minutes of opening on one of the days, we sold 8 printers to one person. Straight away. We've never done that at a 3D printing trade show. And it's that saying of, what was it? It wasn't, I don't think it was McLaren. No, it was Bentley. Bentley stopped going to car shows and they started going to yacht shows because
people
anyone
that own
at a car
yachts
show
are going
knows
to
what
buy
a Bentley
Bentleys.
is. And then they go to a yacht show. No one at a yacht show is selling cars.
Oh, Open Sauce.
They have a captive market at selling vehicles at a boat show. No one else did that. And every time even when we go to Advanced Engineering, which is a show about advanced engineering,
I would have never guessed that one.
4 or 5 companies there that do 3D printers, and 3 of them were sales as service. They weren't doing the machines, they were renting them. It was a captive audience. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so
don't make the mistake that a dedicated show is supposed to be for you. It can be, but dedicated shows also have overcrowding when you all do the same things and you overlap.
The amount of people at Formnext was overwhelming. We were talking with Steve Builds about how insane Formnext is. He said, yep, I don't film anything on day one. I use day one as my day to go around, talk with people, shake hands, make deals, that kind of stuff. He said, I film day 2, and day 3. And day 4 is another go around, shake hands kind of day. And then any like touch up filming I need to do, because people are rushing on day 4 because there's all these things they forgot to see. And now they have to go and do it. So day 2 and day 3 are the best days if you're going to film, is when you go and film. And the other days are best if you're just going to go to build relationships. And yes, having a captive audience is often a better deal for smaller businesses. So like we would go to Soft Week military based, but it is 15 grand for their smallest booth. And we don't have the staffing to handle that kind of a booth. So we simply don't do it. Instead, if we go to Soft Week, we go in as media and then we talk to companies and we get their information and we work with them that way. And oh yeah, you got to collect the swag. You got to get the swag.
So much free swag, especially at defense shows.
Yeah. So
they
like,
just throw free things at you.
3D printing manufacturers, go to video game shows. Why are you guys not represented at more of the video game shows? Where are you at PAX? Where are you at some of these? PAX is the only one that I can think of. It's the only one that we've ever had parts in. But why are there not more 3D printing companies at these video game shows? Your audiences want to 3D print things from their video games. Okay, like how many of you were watching the Game Awards the other night thinking, oh my God, I want to print stuff from this? I was. It was awesome. Comic-Cons, yes. Why? And I swear to God, if you go to Comic-Con and you go into Artist Alley and you sell the damn dragons, you're part of the problem. You're part of the damn problem. But if you go there and exhibit as a 3D printer manufacturer, so big or small, right? Whether you are a Construct 3D, you are a Luke's Lab, Prusa, Bamboo, don't care. Those shows have value. Service bureaus, maybe not. I think service bureaus need to focus on their particular niches and do that. So like if you primarily work in the automotive industry, you should be going to SEMA. Don't go to CES if you're working in the automotive industry. If you want to work in the automotive industry, go to CES. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful with the amount of money that you spend.
Also, film. Film is another good like industry.
Real quick,
because a lot of people watch films and they want to print stuff from them.
Dragon Artist 15, calling out the Flexi Dragon people. Good. That is the most hilarious name for saying thank you for calling out the dragon people. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And yeah, same old Shane, Gamescom freaking amazing. Yeah, it was. It was freaking amazing. Apparently CS has quite a lot of automotive now, but those are more automotive manufacturers showing off their gear. If you go there to CES, you'd be better off trying to talk with them and build relationships. SEMA is about showing off tools, technology, the latest and greatest in custom car building, as well as, the latest and greatest in regular vehicles, but it's a lot of custom stuff. Custom is where 3D printing tends to live. I believe if you have a local show to you, you should go. There's no reason you shouldn't. And if it is going to cost you a couple $100 to go, tell yourself, I need to come out with enough relationships that I can kind of say, okay, this was a good valued use of my time. Eric Cederberg in here said, so you could see at Formnext that they had larger empty spaces. Yes. They had larger empty spaces than unusual on the side of the halls to make it feel as densely packed. Yeah, they had cordoned off areas at the ends of the halls to force everybody closer and closer and closer to make it feel more packed. I would have rather had larger hallways and more space between the groups, but
I mean, and that might have stopped some of the overcrowding at certain booths. Bamboo Lab. What?
Bamboo, Prusa, Bondtech, right? Those are the big ones that...
Well, Prusa's and Bondtech's, they weren't dangerous. Bamboo's was actively dangerous.
For the one time that it was dangerous, yes. I think that Prusa and Bondtech saw what Bamboo did wrong and fixed it for theirs. But yeah, that was for the Vortec unveiling to the public. Well, and honestly, it has a lot to do with the fans being assholes too, right? So like, don't just force your way forward, guys. Like, have some respect for everybody. But I don't necessarily think that was Bamboo's fault. It is impossible
No,
to.
it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, it is impossible to determine what's going to happen when you release a new product. I think big shows like that, especially a Formnext, is great to unveil products. But you need to have a booth that supports the fact that you're unveiling a new product. The one for me was 3D Maker Pro. They were nowhere near all the other 3D scanning companies. Revo Point,
Yeah.
Shining 3D, Creality, all those guys were all on 12.1.
They were next to each other.
3D Maker Pro was the only company not up there. But they're also the only ones that are playing with LiDAR. And so I don't know if them not being on 12.1 was an accident or if it was deliberate. Deliberate in the fact that since nobody else is really playing with LiDAR, Artec has LiDAR, but if you're looking at 3D Maker Pro, you're not looking at Artec, right? You're not comparing both of those companies together, right? It doesn't make sense. But Leica, the camera company, right? Leica also does 3D scanners. The RTC 360 is the same as the Artec Ray Gen 2. It's the exact same scanner. It's just one has Artec firmware, one has Leica firmware, right? Leica wasn't at Formnext. Not that I was aware of. And if they were, we totally friggin' missed them.
I mean, even if they weren't, Leica is one of those companies that are so big they don't need to.
You do get, well, see, you could argue.
Though I do see Leica at random other shows. Like I was at an engineering show and Leica optical systems were there. Where obviously they were making optics because it's Leica. They're the optics company. And they were there, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, they make a lot of money.
No,
on glass,
I didn't see a Leica.
Right.
Yes.
Leica's a glass company that happens to fit it into camera bodies too. You know what I mean? They're also now becoming much more of a software company. But, you know, we saw, like, you and I could easily argue that Bamboo does not need more marketing. Bamboo does not show up to community events. They don't go to the Rep festivals. They don't go to Open Source. They don't go to the maker fairs. They don't do any of that.
Well, what was the majority of their stall? What was their stall?
Meeting. Well, they had a whole upper deck.
There was an upstairs for meetings.
That was so smart.
Baller.
Companies, you need to start thinking about that. Have dedicated meeting spaces. Cheaty Tech had dedicated meeting space as well, and I thought that was really, really nice. It wasn't as like cordoned off like how Bamboo was, but it was really, really nice to see a dedicated meeting space that is away from the hullabaloo as it was. But for them, it was showing off their current stuff.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Half their stand was their diorama.
Oh, that diorama is so freaking cool, though.
It's so cool. And the reason that they can get away with that is their machines sell themselves now.
They do.
They don't need more marketing.
They do. Well, and
they can now show off what you can do with them. And you can show off the art. And that is a very powerful marketing tool, is when you can subtly say, we don't need to market the machine anymore. We can market the product.
Well, Formnext used to be a show that was primarily for industry, right? So if you are a company that does titanium powder recycling, you would be at Formnext. You probably are still at Formnext, but in the more recent years, Formnext has become more of a consumer and prosumer heavy focus, with industry being still a hard focus, but it's away from everything else. Like you've got 12.1 was where anybody who was anybody needed to be. But then you had Formlabs who wasn't up there. Carbon wasn't up there. And both of those companies had baller booths, but they owned the floors they were on. I see the value. And certainly your first year, go to the show and just take notes. Use your phone, take photos, film, all of it. Because you're going to want to look back at that footage and validate what happened. Going back and seeing, okay, this is how this booth was made. This is how that booth was made. This is how this thing was done. That's important, right? I think Creality is probably the best example of this. Did you notice the Creality booth versus the Bamboo booth? Now, they were very close to each other, but did you notice something about them?
They were also kind of similar, but Creality had a lot more machines on show.
Creality had a lot more machines on show, but what did they both have?
Dioramas?
Yes. They both had cityscape dioramas. And in Creality fashion, theirs was lesser, right? I'm sure it cost them less too, but it was overall lesser. Creality launched a new machine. Did you know that?
Nope. Did we miss that?
Ender 3v4.
Does it look the same as an Ender 3v3?
No, it looks different.
Okay.
But it's different.
Can't believe we missed that. We even visited their stand and everything.
I know. They did not do a very good job on the marketing side of things, nor do they reach out to us. I mean, so there was that. But Creality also showed off a scanner, a new one, a fully embedded like Android tablet style scanner.
Huh.
Yep.
The more you know.
Yep.
We completely missed it.
Yep. But I
Completely
think,
missed it.
hilariously, I actually liked the setup of Creality's booth better than Bamboo. I think Creality.
So one of the things I really liked about Crealities, they were selling shoes at the show.
Were they really?
Yeah. So they have a Creality partner or like a sub brand of Creality that was resin printing shoes. And they were selling them
Create,
at the
right?
show. Nope. Different.
I was going to say, that is their thing. So,
like, it was a dedicated shoe brand from Creality. They had like sub brands that were there that were doing just what they sold. And this wasn't like you could buy the printer to go with it. No, they were just like, this is a brand that was spooled up just to sell shoes. There was no machine involved. It's a shoe brand.
Right.
And I actually kind of liked it because then now you can see like use cases for their hardware.
That kind of stuff is so important. Like having industry partners where you're able to basically, one, share the cost of a booth, two, be able to show off what people are using with your tech. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Yep.
That needs to be done more. We saw Hey Gears, I thought, to kind of, again, in that one little area. Hey Gears had their wall of resin where you could poke stuff. All their soft materials had lattice structures that you could poke and feel. Tactile. Because like, oh yeah, sure, it's soft. Oh yeah, sure, it operates as a non-Newtonian. Sure it does. Sure it does. Okay, go touch it. Go touch it. It worked. And it was really, really cool. And because of that, we're now talking with Hey Gears. Hey Gears has tried to work with us in the past, but it's never worked out. They've always wanted to send a machine and they wanted a video in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, no.
Way too fast.
But yeah, I think that as a small business, the larger shows attend. The smaller shows exhibit. I think that's, and you draw your line at finances, right? Can you financially afford the big shows and be able to walk around them? If you can't, then don't do them. The small shows, like a 3D Printopia, right? A 3D Printopia, that will be a small enough show that if you have two people, one person can man the booth while the other one goes and walks around. As a small business, totally acceptable. A Form Next, two people, not enough. 4 minimum.
Nope.
you'll need
Definitely 4
two
minimum.
people to go walk around while 2 people man the booth. And if you don't have that capability, then just go and exhibit and learn. What you will learn from how you see companies doing things, whether you see them doing things right or doing things wrong, is incredibly important. Shining 3D versus Artec. They were right next to each other, right? Shining 3D had all these opportunities to scan different things, including a Jeep. They had a full functioning Jeep. Artec had a car cockpit, I guess is the right way to say it. But it wasn't the full chassis. It was, I don't know, driver and passenger door seat area.
It was a front half.
Yeah.
It was a front half of a Giga casting.
Sure. Okay. About the front half of a car, but it was just the frame. And that was for you to try out scanners. Shining 3D had a car. What Shining 3D did you notice where that car was positioned?
Right in front of the half a car?
No.
Then no, I don't.
That car was basically the separation between the Einstar series and the regular Shining 3D scanners.
Ah, I didn't notice that.
So the car was, when you went toward the car, that's where you saw the really expensive stuff, like their $40,000+ scanners. When you were further away from the vehicle, that was where you saw the Einstar 2, the Einstar Rocket, the Rigel. You saw those scanners instead, the more community-focused ones. And what did Shining 3D have? They had laptops with portable monitors so you couldn't type on the keyboards, which was super brilliant, by the way. And it kept the surface of the table very clean with scanners, 2 of each, 2 of every scanner. So you could try them. So there wasn't a big line for any one of the scanners. Brilliant. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Very few other scanning companies had thought that far ahead. Those are things that I would say as a small business, you get more value from seeing what other people do right and what they do wrong your first year than like effing around and finding out, right? But that's just my thought. I don't know, since we're off topic, I'll go through some shop updates. I did the thing I said I would never do. I did the thing I said I would never do. I bought a Mac.
And what do you think of it? What do you think of it? I bought a
Mac. It's sitting above us right now. And actually, in theory, Adam, if you're listening, you should be able to log back on. Let me see.
But importantly, what do you think of the Mac?
I am upset.
And why is that?
I'm upset with how good it is for the money. So we got a Mac Mini. We have the 24
Mac Mini M4.
M4, brand new from B&H. 24 gig model. It was on sale, $679. So delivered was a hair over $700. One, RAM prices these days.
Yeah, actually made it kind of good.
Yeah. But so the 16 gig was $480. And I said, for $200 more, I want the extra 8 gigs of RAM. Let's stick with that. Because if it works, we can artificially lower the RAM in DaVinci, force DaVinci to only use so much RAM, and see if the cheaper ones that often go down to like $450 when they're on sale will work. The damn thing only pulls like 70 watts when it's running hard, like really hard. It idles at it idles lower than a light bulb. It idles at like 2.5 watts. And it is so tiny. And it is at least 40% faster than the fully custom built 1080 Ti rig that we have.
Yeah, that is a 1080 Ti rig, which is quite old.
With 48 gigs of RAM, 6 core, 12 thread. Doesn't matter if it's quite old. The thing where the Mac fails, it runs out of VRAM. And so it has to slow down. If we had one with more VRAM or more RAM in general, it would likely do a better job. Doug said, does a 1080 Ti need a new home? No, it's a second editing PC. We have 2 editing computers. We've had 2 for the past year or so. I stood up a third one, which was my 3D scanning laptop, which has a 4070 in it and a 14700HX. The Mac is faster than that. It's Apple Silicon. So you can fit 3 of them wide in a server chassis. So we will be transitioning over. So all new PC purchases will likely be Mac Minis for editing purposes.
Yep. And I actually agree with that.
Financially,
as a Windows diehard, I actually do agree with this decision.
A diehard member of the PC master race. Okay, diehard. So the only thing the Mac Mini really needs is it needs more storage, and it needs USB-A ports. Holy crap! Do you know how difficult it is to set up a computer without a USB-A port?
Oh.
How do you plug a mouse and keyboard in, Jacob?
Mine are USB-C.
Mine are USB-A.
European, baby. Everything's USB-C.
I am very happy with the Mac Mini, and I have to give credit where it is due. Adam, editor Adam, has been up my ass since joining the team. All about Macs. Yeah. I didn't trust him. I just didn't. And I should have. I said, there's no way that a computer with 24 gigs of combined memory can beat a computer with 59 gigs of combined memory, or my laptop, which has 96 gigs of RAM, a 4070 and a 14700HX. There's no way on paper that this teeny tiny little Mac that's 65 watts TDP can beat out my 300 watt TDP laptop. Son of a bitch, it can.
I do love watching Grant just implode when it comes to technology.
I'm so upset at it. So yeah, the fact that it's
also
faster
Vicious
than my
Narwhal
gaming
is
laptop
right. It's
just
the OS.
Insane, huh?
Vicious Narwhal's correct. It's not the computer, it's the OS. It's also memory management, and it's the ability to have memory transfer be very efficient.
When you are building your own silicon, pretty easy to do. Again, I am very impressed with what the Mac Mini was capable of doing. It has converted me to be a Mac user for editing. There are so many things that I cannot use a Mac for. But for editing, 100%. 100% I am converted. Let's get into like some of the things that you learned as a manufacturer from going to Formnext. Now, you technically attended Formnext on behalf of 3D Musketeers, but you did a bunch of work there for your own company. What were some things that you learned to do, not to do? Like, what were your key takeaways from that event?
I'd say the big one that I've taken away straight away is design methodology has changed from function to form.
Okay.
Previously, it was you would sacrifice form to make a better machine. Now it's flipped again. It has to look better, even if it isn't actually better. So there's a lot of new machines that are hitting the market that are, as I looked at them, relatively cheap. Like, they did not look expensive. They did not look fancy. They looked beautiful as a picture, but when you looked under the hood, there was like obviously cheap injection molding, and the sides were a bit rattly and that sort of stuff. But the form is now huge. There are no exposed bolts anymore. There are no flat panels. Everything has curves, soft edges, as my lovely design teacher would say, sharp smooth, or smoothed sharps, where you have a nice hard edge, but it rolls. So you still have an edge and something smooth to go with it. And there's a lot of that now.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And it's making machine design decisions hard, because to do a lot of this as a manufacturer, it's expensive. Unless you're doing injection molding or blow forming, that sort of stuff done right is very hard to pull off. And there's a few machines that did hit the market that are boxy. One of the ones I actually really liked the look of, this was actually when we were in Prague, was Prusa's resin printers.
Oh, the SLX. Yeah.
Yeah, the SLX, because they're smooth side.
Industrial machines don't have to look pretty. The black, gray, maybe a little bit of white color scheme, that's what industrial wants. They don't care about your
what
fancy
I noticed
colors
about it
crap.
was
they don't care.
Panel gap in those machines was phenomenally well behaved. Yeah, the panel gap was gorgeous. The panel gap on the machines back at Formnext was frankly atrocious at times, but it didn't matter because they designed around bad tolerancing.
Well, remember, a lot of these printers are being
very apparent
countries over, sometimes across the world, to be at these shows. So you never expect them to be 100% perfect. You do expect them to be functional if they're supposed to be, right? That's the thing you expect.
And though it was also quite interesting, I could notice immediately which printers used blown or vacuum formed plastic panels to injection molded. And it was subtle. Most customers won't realize it, but the ones that were vacuum formed looked so much worse because they didn't have a perfectly smooth mold to go in. But it allowed for them to be much cheaper and more accessible for smaller companies. So I'm probably going to expect a lot more of the cheaper machines, like the sub 300, 400 pound mark machines, are going to go over to vac formed side panels and vac formed like plastic, like doors and everything, to give it that aesthetic of smooth. Like, you can't have an open V-slot anymore. You can't have bolts on show that aren't recessed perfectly flat. It's those extra individual steps that at factory scale cost a ton more than the actual hardware to put in. Adding a chamfer is chamfer. When you have to do that 24/7, and that is actually the cost that ends up raising the price of the machine. If you're having to add 600 of them every 10 minutes, that's a lot of work. But that's needed to be done. So I'd say that's like the big takeaway I saw as a manufacturing point of view. The other side is the consumer market is even more heavily contested now. There is almost zero way for a new company to add anything of uniqueness to the consumer market because the quality of consumer products has risen, thanks to Bamboo Lab and Bamboo clones.
Yeah, the consumer market is legitimately toe-to-toe competing with the likes of the big dogs for FFF and resin, for that matter, and many and often are obliterating them. Like, you go compare the quality of a Stratasys, I don't know, why is the name of the machine Fortis? Fortis 400. Go compare a Fortis 450 MC, hell, to an untuned Prusa Core 1. A Prusa Core 1 that hasn't had its belt fixed. The Prusa will still wipe the floor with it. And that means that everybody else is doing as good, if not better. Because an untuned Core 1 has some resonance issues on its belts. You tune the belts, it's like 10 billion times better.
I mean, just put into perspective, you can buy one of the new Centauri Carbon 2s that we saw at the trade show.
Like $400, right?
I think it was like 350.
350? Yeah.
Yeah. Like $350. You can go to iBoss and get an individually temperature controlled AMS dryer.
They
plug
don't
it in
make it for the CC yet. But when they do.
yet. When they do, just this is just mind gaming.
Right.
You can get one of them. You now have individual temperature control, filament detection, filament run out, multi-material on a relatively fast print platform for sub $600. Like, imagine saying that 3 years ago before Bamboo Lab hit the scene, that you could get all of this. You would be laughed at for making up an industrial machine with just missing zeros at the end of it.
Yeah, when it comes to knowing where to spend money, I think more of the topic is not so much about trade shows. It's more about where to spend money, right? Like,
Yeah.
the Mac, for me, for years, has been a, do I buy this? Do I buy this? Do I buy this? And literally, I had a talk with Adam, who's our editor. Adam is the editor for the podcast. So if you guys watch any of the videos on the Making Awesome channel, which is linked in the description, Adam is the one that's edited all of them. So for reference, that's Adam. I called him. I said, hey, are you looking at hanging out with us for a while? Like, or are you thinking about getting another job? And this is basically me saying, are you going to be around long enough to make it worth the investment that I'm about to make? He's like, no, I love working with you guys. It's awesome, yada, yada. Great. And as soon as he sent that, I clicked buy. And while I spent more than I wanted to spend, it was absolutely 100% worth it. He is happier. It does not disrupt any of the other editors. So if the other editors want to use it, they can. If they don't have to. He has the entire thing set up. He even has his own login that connects to his own iCloud account, where he can send footage back and forth to his personal Mac. So if he wants to edit and not be connected to our network, he can do that. It's so convenient, and it is an easy thing to do to invest in your own people. But I can totally understand that trade shows look like you're kind of literally throwing money into the wind and hoping that it hits you in the face and somebody else's money hits you in the face too, right? I can go to the staff member and say, hey, are you searching for a new job? Because as a small business, if they are, they are. If they aren't, they aren't, right? And if they are, let me help them. Let me help them search for a new job. But if they aren't searching for a new job, how can we help make their lives better? Trade shows, because like there's no easy ROI with it. It becomes complicated, right?
Yep.
So I guess what you have to do is look at it and say, how much money are you willing to spend as a test? How much money are you willing to spend?
It's pissing it into the wind
as a test. Yeah.
If you're happy to piss it in the wind and maybe get a bit of splashback, do it. That's it. That's literally all I can say. Do not do it with the intent to earn money. Do not do it with the intent, unless like your goal is to just vibe check. Just don't consider it. Like, do it for other reasons. Don't do it for, I want money. I want return on investment. Yeah. I want business growth. I want all of this. No, it's not going to work. And it sucks to say that, because I wished it would work, because I've spent a lot of money in it. But I cannot, with honest conscience, after doing what I've done for as long as I've done it, say that trade shows are worth it.
I think in some instances they can be. You have to do it correctly. And a lot of small businesses simply don't. They don't have the finances to do it properly. They can't just blow 50 grand on a booth plus design plus and know they're going to get an ROI, unless you have a use it or lose it budget. But that doesn't happen with small business. I think it makes sense to attend. Like if Construct, like, and I was talking to your business partner, aka your mom, um, about Formnext. As I wanted to debrief her on Formnext myself, because what she will hear from you versus what she hears from me are going to be different things.
Different perspectives.
And she said,
you see different things, I see different things.
She said to me, do you think we should exhibit? I said, no, not your first year. Well, Jacob went. He did, but that's different. Jacob going and you going are two very different things. The both of you should be attending. If you can, partner with a company, partner with a bond tech to put a printer with maybe a tool changer on it at their booth to show it off. Great. And you pay a little bit to make that happen. That is much more valuable for you guys than it would be to have your own booth spending tens of thousands of British pounds and then realize, oh crap, there's only like, I would say 3 of us, but your dad still has a messed up leg, so it's 2.5. 2.5 of us. And it doesn't make sense for you guys because you don't have the staffing ability to make it functional.
As I've said before, it would be dangerous to do it if it was only 2 of us.
Yep.
You need at least 4 people for these type of shows. 1 for relief, 1 for aid, and 2 for doing the show.
I've done shows on my own with Amber, but it is easier when we have more people. With that being said, I can stand all day. I can sit when I want. But at the same time, a lot of times when we go to shows, we're just like, hey, come look at our booth. If you want to see it, great. If you don't, don't. Don't care either way. Yeah, like it is better for small businesses, like how Filament 2 partnered with Prusa on the Silicone XL tool head. They had a whole area of the booth. There was the Pick and Place tool head that came from Switzerland, from a university in Switzerland that developed it. Great. They had a whole dedicated area too. It is better for you to do that. There's a few different reasons why. 1, that means part of a square footage of a booth no longer has to be staffed by the main company's personnel. 2, there is a further draw, right? It's not just the Bondtech Index. Now it's Bondtech Index on Construct 2, a industrial grade machine designed for lights out production applications. Now with a multi-tool head system, that is a big deal for industry application. Where a Voron Trident, fun, cool, love it, awesome. Industry will never adopt Voron simply because they're too much work. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But industry won't do it. The other thing that we noticed is there were areas for certain countries. So like it was in the Baltics, I think, where we
It's not just that. So you probably missed it. There's also AMUK.
Yes.
And Innovate had a stand, and Make UK, I believe, had a stand.
So a lot
All
of
them
the larger
are UK-based things because I was looking at them.
Yes.
They would allow you to be on their stand at an exceedingly better price,
Correct.
if not free, depending on how your government wants to support you.
Yes, they're also nonprofits, so they generally get reduced, reduced fees and all of that. It is a win-win for all parties involved. But at Formnext, each kind of major area of the world had its own country-based or area-based stand, where there were a lot of much smaller booths. Like that's where we saw the continuous fiber XL, the Prusa XL with continuous fiber, which was super freaking cool. Love it. But they would have never, and that was with, hold on, because he and I have been texting. I'm going to get the company name, Endless Industries. Stefan Knopf. I'm going to probably get that wrong, but Stefan Knopf of Endless Industries. They were showing off their XL with continuous fiber. Super effing cool. By the way, super effing cool. But there's no way they could afford a big booth. They had a very small portion of a country booth, if you will, and it made perfect sense. If you look at these bigger trade shows, Rapid has a similar thing to Formnext. that is where, as a small business, if you really do want to be there, that's how you do it. But I still think your first year, walk the floor, get a vibe check,
Yeah.
feel what it's like.
100%.
Look, effectively, you're doing corporate espionage, right? You're checking what other people are doing, how they're doing it, and how can you not make the same mistakes that they did, right? I would thoroughly argue that next year, if Bamboo does a big release at Formnext, they will have stanchions to keep people from basically rushing the table. Bamboo learned a valuable lesson. Other companies learned a valuable lesson from seeing what Bamboo did. And this will help the entire community as a whole get better.
Yep. 100%.
That's the kind of stuff, to me, that's where we start to win as a community. Yeah, the Mocker said that was crazy. People almost got stomped. Yeah, Jacob was in the front of that, filming the unveiling of Vortec, and had to quickly shut off his camera and turn into getting Bamboo employees out of there, because otherwise we were going to need to call an ambulance to help them out.
Yeah, there is a very rare time when I turn into a different work mode, and that was one of the rare times. So I'm like, nope. Safety officers coming out. I was literally kicking people in the shins because it's the only thing that makes people realize, move the fuck out the way. Like, seriously, when it comes to safety, do not trample people. If I start seeing somebody fall to the floor, I will start barging. Like, there's no middleman in that. Like, I've seen what dangers happen, and it doesn't look like it's dangerous, but that's one of the most dangerous times. And that crowd was not just unruly, it was dangerous.
I was not there. Otherwise, we would have been using the outside voice telling people, stop. Immediately stop. You are going to injure people. The machine's not going anywhere. You won't be the first. It doesn't matter. There's 10,000 of you trying to get the same damn picture, the same damn video. You won't be the first. You're not up front. Stop trying to do it. And I wasn't, so that wasn't something that we could do. But literally, we had called Jacob to figure out where he was. He said, oh yeah, I'm already at the Vortec booth. Okay, we'll be over there. And that was it. I hung up. We go over there, and it is 30 people deep for the entirety of their booth. 30 people deep. So we couldn't see anything. I told Amber, F it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. The Mocker said it looks like one of those stores at Black Friday, people running rampant. Except they don't do that anymore. But yes.
It was Black Friday. Yeah. It was the Black Friday meme.
Yeah, it is. They learned a lesson, and I hope that that they will make changes for next year. I don't think they could have known. I'm not going to sit here and then say, oh, well, Bamboo should have known better. I would have liked to see different, things take place, the same way that, like, the next day when we did the index unveiling with Bondtech, we basically said, hey guys, this machine is not facing you. If you want to see an index machine, it's over there. If you want to be in the background of the stream, it's here. But if you get close to us, I'm going to tell you to back away. I'm going to basically act like the King's Guards, back away. And a couple of times we had to do it, but otherwise it was fine. People were respectful. Yeah. And I think as long as you all sit and realize everyone is here for the same reason, we all want to do the same thing, it's great. But yeah, I would say for a small business, the first year, just walk around. Content creators, go there, at least spend one whole day shaking hands, talking with people, getting business cards, and getting phone numbers. One of the most valuable things for us, we have WeChat.
Yep.
We have WeChat. And
that was so useful.
I know a lot of people say, Chinese it's government, WeChat. They're watching it. So is everything else. Okay. But if that is what the people that you want to communicate with are using to communicate, too bad. You deal with it. And if that means you have to use a burner phone for WeChat, then do it. Because otherwise, you're setting yourself up to fail without even getting started. provide as much lubrication as possible to communicating with you. The more effort that you make it for somebody to reach you, the harder it will be for you to make a deal. And if you are spending money to go to a show where your entire deal is to try to build relationships with people, why wouldn't you have the way that they want to build a relationship for yourself? There is no reason. The only reason that you would do it is if you specifically have personal reasons against it or you don't care. And if either of those are valid, then they're valid. But recognize that if you're trying to do business with a company in China, WhatsApp is blocked in China, and while they might have VPNs, they're probably not going to use it, and it's Facebook anyways. So, yeah, I love WeChat. Hilariously, some of the features that WeChat has, I would love to see in like texting applications in the States. The little mini apps are so nice.
I actually really like WeChat. Now that I've been able to use it, not just talk about it, it's kind of good. Like, kind of really good. It's so good, in fact, it makes me kind of wish we had a similar system.
It is thoughtfully designed. Like, it is very, very good. And the nice thing is, even if you don't speak simplified Chinese, nor if you know how to translate it, the app will do it for you. The app will do it all for you. WeChat will translate everything. So you are not forced to use Google Translate. They are not forced to use Google Translate. You are lubricating the hell out of this situation. And as the Mythbusters say, when in doubt, lubricate. Because ultimately, you need to make these connections. Don't put anything in the way from getting those connections. Because if you do, you're doing yourself a disservice every single day of the week. That's my take, man. That's my take. I think shows are worth it. You have to look at how much money you want to spend. And then do what feels right. I feel like we did good with Formnext. We went to Formnext.
It was successful.
We went to Formnext without having everything covered. We left Formnext with more than everything covered.
Yeah, 100%. Formnext has been... It was a risk that has been worth taking.
Sponsors would like you to only talk about their product, doing a disservice to the 3D print community, so there's a conflict of interest being sponsored. No, there isn't. But you have to have the right sponsorships. So when we accept sponsorships from companies, the deals include that we can say whatever we want. If someone is saying we will only give you money to speak kindly of us, I'm lambasting you online and I'm showing what you said. If you are if you're trying to give us money for a positive review, I'm calling you out. And that means I'm going to get blacklisted. And I don't care. But like, we had sponsors for Formnext. So Bontech gave us some money. FiberSeek gave us some money.
Yep.
And Prusa did the lion's share of the money. They all got the same spot. It's at the end of the videos and sometimes at the front, thanking them for making it possible. That's it. That's all they're paying for. Yes, does it mean that we have a tendency to go look at their booths as well? Absolutely. We didn't film with FiberSeek. They were always so busy we couldn't film with them. We got some B-roll and things, but we have a lot of B-roll from the factory tour that we did in China. You do have to be careful. So goes on saying, yeah, it's hard. They pay the bills, but I think siding with the consumer's wallet rather than the sponsor bottom line will pay off in the long run. That's what we're hoping for. We're blacklisted from the largest marketing company in this industry. Bamboo hates us. I don't know if they hate us, but we're blacklisted from them. They will not work with us. Right? And why? Because I showed things they didn't want us to show. So they blacklisted us. Okay, no problem. And does that mean we are financially in a harder spot than people that do get sponsored by them? Absolutely. Am I comfortable with that? I've come to terms with it. I would like to be able to, afford living. I'd like to take some money out of this channel. I know Jacob would like to be able to take some money out of this channel too.
Damn right.
But we make a lot of decisions that aren't necessarily in the best interest of our wallet. Like turning off the ads during the stream so that you guys don't get an interrupted experience. And what do? We ask for donations, right? That's how we solve the problem. Mike Jones says, everyone says what they want, but in the end, I've seen like 100 videos on the U1 and still don't know if it's good or not. Okay. So I can give you the Grant has a couple of hours of seat time with a U1 experience. It is a decent machine that is built, in my opinion, with subpar materials.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
It feels, looks, and sounds very plasticky. However, it's a damn fine machine. It runs.
They've done a really good job
really
at maximizing it. They've maximized what materials they've used.
In the time that we got to use it, it did very, very well. I am very happy with that machine. And quite frankly, if you don't need the build volume or the extra toolhead stuff that the XL has done, you don't want to spend the money or wait for an index, I think the U1 is a significantly better option than an AMS printer. Simple as that. Now, do I have one? No. Did we make a contact at Snapmaker and are trying to get one? Yes. Do I want to compare a Snapmaker U1 to a Prusa XL? You bet your sweet ass I do. Now, I think the U1 is going to beat the XL. And the only reason I believe that is because the price point. It is so much cheaper than an XL. And I think that they've taken the years that the XL's been on the market, they've taken a lot the XL's done right, a lot of what the XL has done wrong, and they've refined it. But for my business, I also need the build volume of the XL. So for me, personally, the XL has to win because I need the build volume. But if you don't need the build volume, the price difference alone says the U1, you should be considering it before you consider an XL. But I would think that if you don't need the silicone, the pick and place, continuous fiber, whatever, a Prusa Core 1L with index is a much better move than a Prusa XL. I said it. It's half the friggin' price, too. Like, it's hard to sit here and say, oh, yeah, go buy from Prusa. Yeah. I like Prusa. We've been to their factory 3 times. I visited Prague 3 times. I've
been once now.
And it is amazing. But yeah, I would think that there's a lot of opportunity out there. And I certainly think that comparing the U1 to the XL is a valid comparison. And I think for the average consumer, the XL can't compete on price. And that's all that matters. The average consumer cares so much more about price than they do anything else. That's why I think the Core 1L is going to sell very, very well. Like, I'm running the same parts I would normally run on the Plus 4 right now on the Core 1L, and I'm going to see how it handles it. If it handles it well, I am likely removing some of the Plus 4s from our shop and replacing it with Core 1Ls. Mainly because the damn Plus 4s have so many inherent problems that make them a pain in the ass to work on that the Core 1L doesn't have. Right? So, but I would argue that if you don't need separate extruders and you're totally fine with an index style system, index on an SV08 is going to be, that will be the 2026 printer of the year. I almost guarantee it. Unless Bambi pulls another thing out of their ass. But you can do a SV08 with index for less than the cost of the upgrade from the H2D to the H2C. It is an $800 upgrade. You can do an entire SV08. You might even be able to do the max if you get things at the right time. But you can do an SV08 with an 8+ head index system for less than $800. And I'm sorry, as long as you're okay with tinkering, that is a much better value. That's all, man. Anything else from you?
Nope, that's everything from me. Like, we talked about Formnext, we talked about machine design. That's what I'm really here for. Cool machines and a little bit of food. So I'm happy with that.
That is all we have for you all today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. Don't forget, I don't know, go give Spectrum the middle finger if you ever see them, because they really took this stream from being what I would think is a great stream to being something that, in my opinion, was a subpar stream. I 100% blame Spectrum for that. We were ready. Spectrum threw me completely off my game. So, oh well, I'll take it up with them later. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Oh, keep making awesome. So I don't think I ever said keep making awesome. Keep making awesome. See you later. Take care. But like, yeah, I've got all these different things happening around me. What was I talking about?
I actually don't know. I'm awful. The moment you ask me what you're talking about, the moment is I forget.
Okay.
But
in Florida, you can buy a 2-wheel drive Jeep.
Okay. How old?
Doesn't matter. Any age. They sell 2-wheel drive Jeeps in Florida. There are not many other states where Jeep sells 2-wheel drive vehicles.
I mean, that just seems cursed.
So you can get a 2-wheel drive
Jeep,
Wrangler,
the 4-wheel
2-wheel drive
company.
Cherokee. Yep. Not in Florida. You can get a 4-wheel drive, but it's an option. Up north, they do not sell 2-wheel drives. Not that I'm aware of. They only sell the 4s.
That is cursed.